Lafleur.
Yes? Take off my tag. Okay, sorry. No, that's so nice that Wendy's thinking about me.
That's my job. I'm sorry.
You know, I think we've mentioned this, broached this subject before, but the Tollway was what, investing $240 million essentially in mass transit here, right?
Yeah, it's not just mass transit. I mean, the 240 million, I believe, was the number that is the investment in, again, that some of the features as well. So some of the active traffic management features that we're going to be using for other reasons on the corridor and for the drivers, as well as, you know, that extra wide inside shoulder that, you know, certainly can be bus rapid transit and a lane for transit, but might in future years, as congestion increases, be some kind of shared use lane, or, you know, we don't know exactly how it will all work out. But yeah, we are making a significant investment in mass transit. Governor Quinn challenged all of us when he appointed this board, and, you know, me specifically, to make sure that we worked with our transit agency partners. And I think this project is a good example of how we are working together to make sure people can get to where they're going, whether they're driving in a car, whether they're taking a bus, whether they're using the park and ride to get on a bus, however they're navigating that corridor, we want to give people options to make sure they can get where they're going.
And then the question comes up again, do Tollway customers, you know,
benefit
from do their tolls, you know?
We think that they do. I mean, you know, certainly some of the features that we're paying for here are going to benefit these drivers directly, even if they never get on a bus. So it'll benefit them in terms of, you know, the signage that's going to be up to help people understand how to navigate the corridor. But it's also going to benefit them that all of those thousands of people who are taking a bus instead of a car every day are making sure that the people who are driving in less congestion. And we know from the surveys that we've done that our drivers do not like to drive in congestion. You know, some of them don't even think they should pay tolls if they're driving in congestion, right? Because they use the tollway to get to where they're going quickly. So if we can keep people, and you know, out of cars and onto buses, or at least give them options, we think that that's a tremendous benefit to the tollway system. If we had to keep pace with congestion, we would have to build an extra lane every 10 years. We can't do that. So we need to be creative about how we manage congestion on our roads in the future to, you know, keep people moving.
Are other toll agencies around the country that you're familiar with, are they doing collaborative programs with mass transit as well?
There certainly are. So Florida, I know that Minneapolis, there are a lot of toll agencies now that are doing collaborative programs with mass transit, whether they're straight toll highway agencies or big authorities like exist in New York and New Jersey, where maybe they do have multiple jurisdictions. But, you know, more and more, we have to be creative and think about what we're delivering to customers in this century. And customers need choices, and we need to manage congestion, and we need to be creative about it, because we're not going to have the resources to build our way out of it. We need to be creative about how we use the infrastructure that we have. And this is leveraging a lot more capacity out of our $2.5 billion investment on the Jane Addams.
There were a couple of mentions made of some of the, I don't know if you'd call it innovative, but certainly untraditional concepts here. Could you maybe just talk about, like, Barrington Road? That's a diverging diamond, right?
Right. Right. So the interesting thing about the Barrington Road, what will happen for transit at the Barrington Road interchange, is that there'll be a park and ride, you know, parking lot, which people are used to seeing, just off of that interchange. There'll be a pedestrian walkway over either to the first bus terminal or over the road to get to the other side, depending on which direction transit passengers are going to take. And the bus actually won't have to get off of the tollway at all. We've created a separate lane. We will be creating, you know, there will be a barricade there. It will be protected from drivers and the rest of vehicle traffic on the road. People will be able to get right on a bus, and the bus will be able to hopefully seamlessly navigate its way back onto I-90 and continue in, you know, either east or west, whichever direction it was heading, to get people to where they were going. So it's a very, from the transit perspective and what we're doing here, I think it's a very innovative and creative way to make sure that transit is as seamlessly incorporated into this corridor as it possibly can be. And we've worked closely with Pace on these designs to make sure that this transit is going to work for their riders, because ultimately they're the experts on what their riders have come to expect and what works for buses and transit.
But getting back to the tollway users, just from your point of view, what can you just give me an idea briefly what travel benefits there's going to be from the I-90 completion again?
Well, certainly we're adding an extra lane for regular traffic as we rebuild the I-90 project. So there's going to be an extra lane there. Currently it's 3 lanes and 2 lanes depending on how far west you are. It will be 4 lanes and 3 lanes for just regular traffic. And then there'll be that extra wide inside shoulder that we've talked about, which will be for transit, for buses on the corridor, and potentially in out years for some shared use lane. What the benefit for drivers on this corridor are going to be that you're not going to have buses. Some people think that it's difficult to drive with buses or large vehicles. The buses in the future years, as congestion becomes more apparent here, will have potentially dedicated lanes, will have easy ways to access terminals and stations so they won't have to stop and disrupt traffic. And ultimately, drivers will be given choices on how they can make the trip on this road. So, at the end of the day, as a transportation partner in this region, we think we've developed a great concept here that are going to get travelers going in the right direction, at the right speed, in the right way, and get them to where their destination is all along I-90.
Great. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Kristi.
Thanks.
Thanks, Kristi.
Thank you.
Good seeing you.
Nice to see you too. So now you get to be videoed. We should have told you I always forget I should redo my lipstick now before coming into
I'm
coming
trying to
into
figure out
this.
which is my best side.
Yes, I know. Thank you.
The front's always the best, Mike. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. I just wanted to recap just a couple of things that are in here. It's one thing to have it on paper, but we're doing this kind of thing more often these days. So, could you just reiterate again what the plan is for Pace to increase service on I-90 is?
The plan is that we are going to essentially build 3 park and ride lots. One at Randall Road, one at Illinois 25, and one at Barrington. We're doing this in order to be able to create a transit option for the people who live along the Jane Addams and who live in the northwest suburbs. There are a lot of people who live and work in the Jane Addams corridor, and one of the things that we are looking at being able to do is to create suburb to suburb. Everybody talks about suburb to downtown. Well, part of what we've discovered and part of what the data supports is that there is actually a need for suburb to suburb commutes. So we, with this service that we're going to be providing, will provide both the suburb to city connection, which will allow us to get into the Rosemont with more frequent service, and also to bring people from the city out to the jobs in the Northwest Corridor. But we will also be able to move people within the Jane Addams corridor so that we can get them to locations where they can get to jobs. So for instance, somebody could park at Randall Road, get on our bus, get off at Northwest Transit Center, get on one of our buses, and go wherever our existing service goes. But an important part of this is that we're actually going to be adding a number of other bus routes, one of which will go all the way up to Palatine, and one of which will go down to Addison, coming out of the Northwest Transit Center. In addition to that, we will have the connection with the Elgin service. All of our Elgin service will come up and meet the expressway, the Tollway service. So that will allow us to distribute people from Kane County into the jobs that exist in Northwest Cook County. So that's a big part of what we're looking to be able to accomplish here. For us, this is getting people to work, getting them to the places they need to go in the suburbs, having a transit option. Because right now, there's not a lot of options for people. It's you buy your car and you take your chances.
When do you see people actually using all of this new service? And
We
infrastructure?
anticipate that this service will be ready to go. We are planning that when the Jane Addams expansion is realized, that we will have bus service to go in right away. So we're looking at getting the park and rides done in the next couple of years. We're looking at getting new equipment that we can run on this. Some of that equipment will be the expressway service, the big expressway buses like we have right now on I-55. Some of them will end up being a very modern looking, what we call a suburban style vehicle, which will be a single door, and in some cases possibly that back door, we're not sure yet, but something where people will have a comfortable seat for a longer ride. They will all be Wi-Fi equipped, so people can, either do their work or catch up on their email, or as one lady described it for me, who's using our existing service with Wi-Fi, she pays her bills. That's her quiet time now. She gets on the bus, she sits down, she goes through, and she does all of her electronic banking while she's riding. So
If you're a customer in a couple of years, a Pace rider, okay, you're coming in from maybe Elgin, going to the Blue Line in Rosemont, you're going to be on the inner lane of the Jane Addams, and you're going to be going past the cars, essentially? Is that-
yes. Yeah, that's partly what was, especially as you get in, and as was just mentioned by Kristi, there is growing congestion. So if we can create an option where people don't have to sit in their cars, because those cars are going to go everywhere, we're going to bring people to locations where they have predictable ends to their trip that we can serve with transit. So it's going to be a choice service for people.
And could you just reiterate again the growth that you've already seen on these lines, these 600 lines already?
We have had a 10% increase in the first 6 months of service.
When we implemented the new service in August of 2013, so we provided bidirectional service on routes 610 and 600. And with the ridership increases on those, plus the ridership increases on the other two routes that we operate, we've seen a 10% increase since last August.
So that's a significant change, Rich, in a very, very short period of time.
And what's the goal, number-wise, or do you have anything like that?
Well, we would like to be in a situation where, obviously, we'd love to be able to sustain a 10% increase. Realistically, we're probably looking at a 5% growth rate on this service, because it is an express service, and it tends to be a little bit more attractive to people than regular fixed route.
5% a year?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, part of that is going to be how well do we serve those businesses along the corridor, and how well do we design that support service, because that's the other piece that's going to have to go into play here. We're going to have north-south service. We've already got service on Barrington Road. We, in the next couple of years, are going to have to look at how that Barrington Road service shakes out. As Meacham gets its own interchange, how are we going to serve that Meacham service? I mean, that's going to give us a much quicker way to get into our Northwest Transit Center, we believe, and also to serve that portion of those job centers in Schaumburg that are on the north side of the expressway. That will require some realignment of some of our service. Again, one of the key things here is, and we've done it with a couple of the existing routes where we say that the route is going to go to Schaumburg. Yes, it goes to Northwest Transit Center, but then it goes and does some additional work in Schaumburg before it turns around and heads back in to Rosemont. So we can either have direct service or we can have feeder service. That's an option for us as we build out this service. The big thing here is that we are able to take advantage of rapid movement in both directions. So while there's heavy congestion on the westbound, we'll be able to take advantage of that as well to get back out and get our buses turned around. So there's a number of options here. We'll be able to do more with the same number of buses because we'll be able to get turnarounds. It's a little bit like what we've done again on I-55. We have the early morning buses that go into downtown. They come back out to Burr Ridge, or they come back out to the Canterbury lot, and they make a turn and go back in for another trip. So we're getting numerous trips out of those buses on the early morning trips.
Just to go back to the numbers for a second, do you have a number in mind that you could see maybe by 2018 that new riders that Pace is going to have, for example?
Oh, I don't have a fixed number. I'm looking more at a percentage, and part of that, Rich, is how quickly are we going to be able to get additional equipment as the demand grows? Because that's another part of this. We are planning this service. We know where the buses for this service are coming from. We know when they're going to be coming, and we know that we have the money to do that. There isn't a long-term federal transportation bill right now. So it would be foolhardy of us to assume that we're going to have the same level of federal funding in future years, and we use our capital to buy buses. So there's going to be a market demand. There's going to be a resource limitation. And part of what we're going to have to do is to find a way to balance those two.
The money that you are getting for this, though, is coming from...
This is a CMAQ grant, Congestion Mitigation Air Quality grant, and that's sort of what we call old money. That's already there. We got that through the CMAQ process a couple of years ago.
And how much was that?
All told, it's $38 million.
And that's essentially for the equipment that you're
The
putting
equipment
into service.
and the other work, yes.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Good to see you.
See you.